Hey guys, today we're driving the 2022 Volkswagen Golf R and we are taking it ice racing. We're going to a Saginaw Valley region SCCA ice race at Ross Lake up in Beaverton, Michigan. Should be pretty chilly, but should be a lot of sideways fun. There are different classes. We're going to be in stock all-wheel drive. We have Pirelli Sotto Zero winter tires. We're going to get started. We've already got a little bit of snow on the roads, so I wanted to give you guys some a little bit of a peek on what this looks like at night with the headlights, and we might even try out drift mode just a little bit here in the cold and wet Sunday morning that we have here in Michigan. We haven't gotten a lot of snow this year, so this is kind of a unique opportunity. We've got all of our settings already set up. We're in Sport plus drive mode, traction control, stability control completely off, drift mode is on, and we are ready to go. So with this Golf R, we have a 50-50 torque split, and then the rear axle has this torque vectoring differential that can send 100% of that 50% of the power to either the right or left side. And in drift mode, it'll send it to the outermost wheel just to give us that extra slip angle. It results in a pretty neutral handling chassis, especially on power. In this Golf R, it is very satisfying to slide around. There we go. You can just initiate and hold some beautiful drifts in this thing. I love it. These winter tires seem to be performing pretty well too. No handbrake, unfortunately. Headlights illuminate the road pretty well. We've got the fogs kind of lighting up our blind spot there as we turn the wheel. We've got a little bit of intervention still on turn in just to get that front end turned in and the car rotated. The front wheels have torque vectoring by brake, and that kind of results in some interesting driving characteristics at the limit. Still though, you can have a lot of fun in this thing. The more I've driven this Golf R this week, the more I've really started to enjoy it. Dynamically, this thing is absolutely fantastic. There is a lot to like about this new Mark 8, and some things that I don't quite love about it, but I will say, the more I use this infotainment and user interface, the more familiar with everything I get, and the less of a big deal it becomes. This is kind of a abrupt change for the GTI and Golf R. These used to be such driver-focused vehicles. They were simple to use, easy to operate, and Volkswagen did a little bit of a U-turn with us here with this new infotainment. But you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it would be. To live with, at least. The all-wheel drive system, the chassis dynamics with this car, it all kind of makes up for it. Ooh, I love drift mode. This is properly fun. Getting into ABS a little bit there. It is so controllable. Got my heated steering wheel going. And look at this thing at night. It is so cool with all the blue ambient lighting. I think this is probably the best execution of the blue theme that I've seen from a Golf R. All right, we're gonna throw us into sport mode. That'll keep the revs up just a little bit. We've got about a 2-hour drive to the ice race to Ross Lake. Maybe a little bit longer with all the roads and the condition that they're in. Nice and cozy in this Golf R. Heat fires up pretty quickly. Touchscreen takes a minute to wake up early on in the morning. These 19-inch winter tires are doing pretty well, even though we don't have a whole lot of sidewall. See if I can dim my instrument cluster here. There we go. They definitely have added some pops and bangs to the exhaust. And that's exciting. This thing is a beast in the snow. One of the major complaints people have had about this new Volkswagen GTI and Golf R are that you cannot see the temperature controls in the dark. And boy, are they correct. It is a complete guessing game as to what button is where and what does what. Completely dark, completely unilluminated. You can turn on your interior lights and that'll show you what's going on, but really that's about the only way to see. You can also say, Volkswagen, I'm cold.
Okay, warming the left front side now.
And it just turned my temperature up to 72 degrees. My fan speed is the same, so that's nice. Volkswagen. Hey Volkswagen, I'm warm. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hey Volkswagen, I'm warm.
Sure, clean the left front side now.
This is not the solution to adjusting your climate control. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of the best options. There's also a climate menu that you can press and adjust your temperature from there, where you actually get touchscreen buttons, but then you can't see anything else in the infotainment. But anyway, I thought I'd show you guys that at night because it's just ridiculous. Why didn't Volkswagen add illumination to the climate control buttons? Stuff they should have thought of. This Golf R is a fantastic highway cruiser, super comfortable, not too loud on the highway. These 19-inch winter tires are just bombing through everything. Very confident, inspiring, super stable. The ride is comfortable. We're getting decent fuel economy here too. No rattles or shakes. This interior is very solid. Usually Volkswagens have at least one or two rattles in the back, and this feels pretty well bolted together. As far as night driving goes, the headlights are fantastic. I love this ambient lighting in the interior. It just looks so cool. And you can change that up in the menus. I like this quick drop-down menu where you can adjust the gauge cluster brightness. That's really nice to be able to do on the fly. And the fact that it goes away automatically pretty quickly on its own is nice. Waiting for it. There it is. We've got our headlight controls over here. It's kind of neat because when you move your hand closer to the controls, they'll brighten up so you can see them a little bit easier. But honestly, just headlights on auto. I turned the fog lights on for a little bit extra visibility today. My steering wheel buttons are clear and concise. I'm actually starting to really like these haptic controls. They're a little bit closely spaced and it's sometimes difficult to distinguish, but once you use this car and live with it for a week, you kind of know where everything is, which is nice. Heated steering wheel is the perfect temperature. I've left my heated seat on low and I'm not burning up yet, which is really nice. Really enjoying this dual clutch transmission too. You kind of can't go wrong with either of these gearboxes. The dual clutch is so responsive. I think it's just engaging enough to satisfy the enthusiast. I don't think it is as snappy as some previous dual clutches, but you know, with a tune, with a little bit of massaging in the aftermarket, which I'm sure most Golf owners will do, I'm sure you can get a little bit more liveliness out of it. Some more road trip thoughts on the Golf R. Changing radio stations with the infotainment. So we're in Waze, we've got our CarPlay running, we've got our navigation. That's usually what I leave my screen on so I can see any accidents or incidents on the road. We're going to try to change the radio station. So we're going to go back to the home button, we're going to go radio and media, we're going to go to music, we're going to go to a different category. I'm listening to XM Chill, I'm going to go to BPM. so many ridiculously tedious inputs just to change the radio. Gosh, that's frustrating. You can have a quick swipe. I think there's an option to have a quick swipe down menu for the radio. Let me see. Audio. No, there isn't. Okay, so no scroll knob, no tune dial. It's just this plethora of menus. And you know what I've been doing? I just haven't been listening to the radio, and I haven't been listening to music in this car, and because I don't want to have to risk crashing into something because I'm taking my eyes off the road for 15 seconds to go through all these menus. Super frustrating. Why, Volkswagen? Why make this so difficult? And guess what? The voice activation doesn't work. Like, not even a chance. So I go back to Apple CarPlay. It doesn't even take me back to my map. It takes me to my phone. Hey, Volkswagen. Play Sirius XM channel 53.
Okay.
953. Sports. So now I have to go all the way back to radio and media, music, dance electronic, 53. What were they thinking? What was the logic behind this? That's actually really frustrating. That is, for me, the most annoying thing right after the non-illuminated temperature controls. Otherwise, I'm really loving this car. Everything about it is fantastic. It's super comfortable. This would make such a great daily driver, except for the fact that you can't adjust your temperature or change your radio station. All right, we're almost to Beaverton. We're almost at Ross Lake. Super excited to get this thing out on the ice and have some fun on it. No radio, no music, no sound. We just get to hoon. Should be a good time. We've got some wicked cool cars here this morning. Lots of rally crossers. Here's the famous Lexus RC350 all-wheel drive that was gonna be crushed, but Toyota saved it and turned it into a rally cross car. There's a rally Prius. Lots of WRXs. Nice to see an RX-8 out here. Stock drivetrain, just prepped and caged for rally duty. So cool. Toyota R&D Motorsports. So they're part of the rally team. All right, we are lined up, getting ready for a couple practice runs. I have us in drift mode, and traction stability control is fully disabled. I've gone into my brake settings, turned that off. I have also disabled all of the safety systems: lane assist, adaptive cruise control, park distance control, cross traffic alert, front assist. All that is off and disabled. I will have to disable that every time I restart the vehicle. Over to the right, we've got our cars on studded tires. Those park and mount their tires up on the ice so as not to damage their studs. We've got a lot of grip out here though. We have about a couple inches of snow over the ice. That'll get knocked off throughout the day. The line will change and adjust. We'll have to kind of adapt to that. Wherever there is the most grip, we'll have to find that line within the course limits. So there's a little bit of strategy to ice racing in addition to just going fast and going sideways. Go. Great. We're just gonna leave this in auto to start. Maybe not. Maybe we'll leave it in manual, use the gears. I always forget how slippery things get on the ice. We don't have a ton of braking grip. You gotta really look ahead and out of your side window. Things definitely get frosty out here. miles an hour. Slowing down. We gotta get us rotated in here, find a little bit of traction. That's a spin. Can't see out of my window. There we go. That's better. Gotta watch out for this corner worker. Want to look pretty far ahead in ice racing as far as you can. And really use that off throttle to get the car rotated. This is a very familiar course. They pretty much make it the same every year. Follows the shape of the lake. I'm barely touching the brakes here, letting it run wide. Utilizing that torque to give us some speed. We've got a bit of a slalom here. Slows us down before the straightaway, or for the finish. This is going to be slick today. We go. Clean our windows off. And that's a practice run. Very cool. All right, I am lined up at grid. It's been a really good day of racing so far. I took a nap, I worked timing, and now we're in the third run group and I'm about to go out on course for my first run. Quick note on settings. For my practice run, I ran this in drift mode, and I think I'm gonna run this in custom, where I have all of my settings pretty much set to race except for steering and adaptive cruise control. Dynamic chassis control is all the way to the left in full comfort. I want as soft suspension as I can get out on the ice. And traction stability control, everything is off, so we should be good with that. We'll see how that reacts to the ice conditions, and if I want to go back into the drift mode, I can, but I felt the drift mode on the ice was a little bit unpredictable, a little bit too tail happy, so we'll see how well balanced this is. I even have a little gauge right here where I can see my power distribution and torque distribution from front to back and right to left on the rear axle, so we'll kind of experiment from there and tweak as needed. All right.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right. out here. This is great. Feels better in race mode than in drift mode for ice racing, at least. I'm mostly braking by setting the car sideways and off throttle downshifts. Using the torque down low to kind of get me traction out of the corner. Grip out here than on the practice runs. The cars with studded tires really rough things up, give us a lot more traction, which is cool. All right, that felt pretty good. I am happy with that. All right, run 2. We will just try to stay focused and grippy. Just need to stay out of those ruts on the start line. Slippery here. So far, I like this all-wheel drive system though. Super progressive, very easy to control and modulate. Shot. There's actually more grip on the ice than I expected. Fix that next time. That's a rough one. So many noises. ESC is supposed to be off. This is fun though. We're gonna try to get out of these ruts here at the start line. I'm liking manual mode, it's doing good things. Even though we are not in drift or Nürburgring, it is still upshifting, which I'm actually okay with because it's only upshifting when it really needs to. There we go, that's a much better start. Much happier with that. We're gonna try to hug the inside line as much as we can. Things are getting a little bit slipperier here. Way slipperier. There we go. minimize wheel spin. Runs are probably going to start getting slower, so gotta concentrate. Might have already done my fastest run, we will see. This is pretty grippy here, and then it isn't. I'm actually gonna cut in on this side where there's traction. Full sideways. Try to minimize wheel spin. There we go. Cutting it right to that apex, and we'll let it run wide. Definitely getting rougher out here. This one again this time. We're gonna go outside, inside, so I don't have to run wide like I did. Feels so slow, but it's so slippery here. There we go. All-wheel drive system is grabbing for grip. There we are, cut it close. Still surprising amounts of traction out here. This is amazing. Get us pointed the direction we want to go. There we go. That's what we like to see. There we are. Little Ken Block move there. Having fun, having a good time. The Golf R all-wheel drive system is pretty good. These Pirelli Sato Zeros are okay. They're actually surprisingly grippy. I thought they wouldn't be as nice as they are, but kind of the only tire you can run on these massive 19-inch wheels. Whew. I'll tell you, ice racing, rallycross, autocross, it's a whole lot of waiting around and then a bunch of action all at once. All right, run 5, off we go. Gonna try to take it a little bit slower into turn 1 here, a little bit less showboating and more speedboating. Waiting for this Forester to cruise by. Easier said than done, but let's just take it super slow because it is super slick. There we go, that was much faster through there, and now we're off. Love how fast this section is. That is so much fun. Whoop. A little bit wide there. Actually, super wide there. Lost any time that I gained. There we go. Gosh, it's just crazy how grippy some of these sections are, and then there aren't. On the lock stops. At this point, we're just having fun. We're going sideways. Let off, take that front end in a little bit. little Scandinavian flick. Super sideways. There we go. Yep. And in we go. This is a really wide turn. This in an all-wheel drive car. There we go, digging in, little sideways slide. Trying to avoid our cone here. Perfect. All right, that's it. Cool. Well, there's a day of ice racing, guys. I'm gonna go check out my times, see how I did, and we'll just kind of take it from there. This has been super fun. Would highly recommend. All right. All right, I ran a 152.4, which is good for first place in the Golf R. Well done, Pirelli winter tires. Final timing results aren't live yet, but from the looks of it, everyone's runs were getting progressively slower. And that is a wrap on the day. Good times, really impressive performance from the Golf R. Not a hiccup, didn't skip a beat. Still just a little bit of intervention from the traction control system, but still very, very capable on ice. All right, guys, well, while we're driving home, I wanted to give some final thoughts on this Golf R. I've really warmed up to this car over the week. It is a really nice overall package. There are some things that I love about it, and then there are some things that I absolutely hate about it. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but overall, I think this is still a great option from Volkswagen. The all-wheel drive system is pretty good. It's definitely an improvement over previous generation Haldex systems. The dual clutch is great. I would still highly consider the manual if that's a possibility for you as a buyer. The power, the performance, the way this drives is pretty good. I think drift mode is a little bit of a gimmick, but it does add just a little bit more fun factor to this car. The fact that you can kick this sideways and get little micro drifts out of it here and there in the snow and wet weather, here and there in the dry, I think adds an element of fun that wasn't previously there with this Golf R. You couldn't get this thing sideways before without really trying, and now it doesn't take as much effort, and I think that's cool. It makes me hopeful for the Audi S4 and the Audi RS4. I'm curious to see how those drive. Let's talk about the infotainment, because I've said so much about it already, but it does dominate the experience in this car for me this week. There's some things that I love about this infotainment. It's beautiful. The screens are gorgeous. The displays are really nice. The touch interaction with the display is actually quite good. This car has a way of kind of estimating where you want to press and doing a pretty good job of accurately giving you what you have wanted to select. The problems I have with it are it's really difficult to change climate control beyond just adjusting your temperature. You can go into the voice recognition stuff, but it's slow and I think just as distracting as going into the screen, because you're always kind of checking to see if it's doing what you want it to. Changing a radio station is unbelievably complicated, unless if you have all your favorites set and you can just kind of switch back and forth between them. I haven't even been listening to the radio or satellite Sirius XM. I've just been using Spotify or the Sirius XM app in Apple CarPlay. Everything else with the infotainment is a little bit needlessly complicated, but you know, it works. I used to think that this was a bit of a deal breaker for the GTI and Golf R. I no longer do think that it is a deal breaker. I would still buy one of these cars. I would still recommend one of these cars.
just with a caveat, be careful. Be careful with it. Use the travel assist when you're using the touchscreen. Try not to be driving and interacting with this space. Volkswagen needs to do better with this in future cars. When they refresh this car, they need to either add a larger screen or some physical buttons and redundancy, because I think it's a little bit dangerous as it sits to use and to operate. You got to realize manufacturers have done this before and it hasn't worked out well, and I don't think it's going to work out well for Volkswagen either. We see manufacturers like Honda backpedaling and creating really nice usable infotainment systems, whereas before they got rid of a volume knob, they got rid of a tune knob, and you see them using physical controls again. And I hope Volkswagen does the same thing with this. I realize that this is a new product from Volkswagen. They want it to be as modern and tech forward as possible. And in some respects, from a design point, I think they've achieved that. I really like the minimal look and feel of this cabin. Even though, this is so simple here, I think it's a beautiful design and I appreciate that. But the functionality has to come with that design. As a result, we have form before function in this Golf R, and that's a little bit unfortunate. Yes, Volkswagen, you do have your swipe down menu, but you only get 4 quick access options. What if I want more? There's room for 6 here. How come we don't have 6? Just some frustrating things living with this car, but it is what it is. It's definitely livable. It's definitely usable. And the chassis, the ride quality, the value here, I think is a pretty good proposition. I, for once, am in Golf R camp over GTI camp. I've always thought that the GTI is a little bit of a better buy than the Golf R. This week, this car has changed my mind on that. This feels like a really quality item. There is definitely some cost cutting apparent with this car, but despite that, I really like the driving experience and I really like the experience behind the wheel. Your touch points are nice. This dual clutch is fantastic. The engine is great. The all-wheel drive system is great. No hiccups today. This cabin feels really solid. I would like to see some slightly better materials in here and some hood struts, but honestly, not the end of the world. So anyway, I think that will sum up my thoughts on this Golf R. It's been a fun week in this thing. I've liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I was a little bit nervous going into this loan because I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. If I don't like a car, I will tell you. But this Golf R has surprised me, and I think the more you live with a car like this, the more you get to know it, and the more you familiarize yourself with its little foibles and little, shortcomings. So, like anything, I think there's a little bit more of a learning curve to this car specifically compared to a lot of other new vehicles. And I think Volkswagen just needs to make some better design decisions in the future, and I'm sure they will, because they've gotten a lot of backlash on this car. But as it sits, it's maybe not as bad as I have made it out to be in the past, and as maybe some other people have made it out to be in the media. So I'll give it that. Anyway, my voice is getting hoarse. I've been talking all day to people, to the camera. Thanks for watching. That'll wrap up this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.